Why do you feel an immediate urge to grit your teeth when someone tells you to pay attention? Does straining your eye muscles actually help you see a distant object more clearly? You have been taught that effort equals effectiveness. But clenching your fists and holding your breath doesn't actually will yourself into focus, doesn't it? This muscular contraction is really just a distraction, a sensation of a mask trying to look real. Many of us spend our whole life chasing a version of ourselves that finally feels finished. Perhaps you even imagine a day when you wake up and every piece of the puzzle clicks into place. Yet, the very idea of being a person who needs to find their way is the only thing keeping the wall standing. You think you are a project that needs finishing because you have been told that being enlightened is a prize to be won. This habit of looking for something special creates the very fog you are trying to clear. Talking about the deep stuff often feels like trying to describe the flavor of water. You can use fancy labels all you want, or read every thick book on the shelf, but the noise of the explanation usually drowns out the actual experience. Real clarity lives in the moments when the talking stops completely. If you keep shouting that you are the universe or some great consciousness, you are just adding more chaos to a room that was already full. Words act like a heavy coat on a summer day. They might look impressive to others, but when everything is said and done, you are still just a sweaty puddle. Instead of building a better identity with smart phrases, you might find that simply quieting the chatter lets the light through on its own. Think of it like trying to see the bottom of a lake while you are busy splashing around in the shallows. Eventually, you just get tired. The moment you stop moving, the mud settles and the view clears without any extra effort from your side. Silence works as the only tool that actually cuts through the mental noise we mistake for reality. Progress slows down when you treat wisdom like a vocabulary test. Just being here, without the performance, is where the real weight of the world finally drops away. When life feels heavy and the world seems to press against your skin, you usually point to yourself as the target of the pressure. Fatigue follows. Try hunting for the owner of those feelings, like a detective searching for a ghost in a locked room. Ask where this sense of being a solid person actually starts. Does it live in your chest? Or is it just some thought in your head? The closer you get to the center of your own story, the more the main character starts to fade away. Eventually, the search leads to a realization that there is no solid person anywhere. You find yourself standing in an open field with no walls. Everything you thought was a fixed identity turns out to be a cloud passing through a clear blue sky. Instead of watching the clouds, just start to notice the massive blue expanse that holds them. The I you protect is just a label on a jar that contains nothing but air. Following the trail to the end leaves you with a sense of boundless room. You start being the space where everything happens. This inquiry acts like a flashlight in a dark basement. The more you shine the light on the shadow of the ego, the more it shrinks until it vanishes. You arrive at the understanding that you are the background of everything. By simply looking at the canvas, you perceive where the objects appear. Think of a kid playing with a scrapbook full of colorful cutouts. They glue a bright sun on the top and a green tree at the bottom. Every scene looks busy and important to the person watching. These objects seem real because they have sharp shapes and edges. Consider what happens if the actual paper disappears. Without that flat white background, the sun and the tree have nowhere to sit. The foundation stays exactly the same. even when the child swaps a person for a mountain. While the pictures change constantly, the surface underneath remains silent and still. Your life works just like that background. Friends enter and exit your vision like those paper figures. Stars flicker out while planets spin in circles. Because these things move and break, they cannot be the ultimate foundation of what you are. Only the stillness, the space behind the movement, carries any lasting weight. Real things do not rot or disappear. Since everything you see is in a state of constant decay, looking at the objects usually leads to disappointment. The only thing that remains is space. The world changes. If you look at the paper while the pictures move around, the drama loses its power over you. This explains why people feel so restless. We try to find safety in the cutouts, yet the cutouts are thin and fragile. The only real thing is the paper that never moves. And you are that paper, the space that holds the stars and the trees without ever being touched by them. Chasing a good mood often feels like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. You might imagine that finding the right partner or landing a better job will finally lock peace into place for good. But external stuff moves and keeps moving. The world remains in a state of flux. Things break and people leave. Relying on the outside for your internal weather makes you a prisoner of chance. If your joy depends on the bank account or the people around you, then you are destined to stay miserable for most of your life. Some people want better health or more cash. While those might happen, they are just side effects of a much bigger fire. The goal involves tearing down the house of the human identity entirely. Forget trying to be a better person. Look through the mask you think you are. Misunderstanding who you are causes every bit of the stress you feel. As long as you believe you are just a body, you will keep running on a treadmill that never stops. Trying to fix the world so you can finally feel okay is a massive waste of energy. The wind will always blow. You could spend decades decorating a prison cell, and it would still be a cage. Most classes teach you how to think positive thoughts or visualize success. Those are just different colors of paint for the same old walls. When you stop identifying as a fragile human, suffering doesn't feel that bad anymore. The world around you will look like a mirror when you finally see that truth. You see yourself in every face and every falling leaf. Such a perspective takes hold because you stop viewing the universe as a collection of separate objects that might hurt or help you. Instead, you recognize that the whole display is just your own nature appearing in different shapes. Most people spend their lives trying to rearrange the furniture of their external affairs to find peace. They believe that fixing a relationship or moving to a new city will solve the underlying ache. That effort is like hitting a wooden horse to make it win a race. You might patch one leak in the roof, only to find the basement flooding a moment later. Life becomes an endless cycle of chasing shadows while the sun stays hidden behind your back. Look at the root. Your suffering comes from the mistaken idea that you are merely a body trapped in time, a fragile thing destined to break. Breaking that conviction causes the heavy burden to lift. You begin to understand that your arrival into this world never actually occurred because the spirit has no beginning. If birth never happened, an end becomes impossible. Reality reveals you exist as a wide presence containing every star and every grain of sand on the beach. Perhaps survival seems like a mystery if the habit of managing every second finally stops. Doubt lingers. Most people assume that heavy worrying acts as a shield against potential disaster. Yet, look at a healthy apple tree standing in a field. The branches never pause to question if fruit will appear next Tuesday or if the rain intends to fall on time. Such things happen because growth is the natural state of the world. Bright flowers do not check watches to see when to bloom. An underlying power tends to the entire universe without needing a single committee meeting. Your body arrived on this earth with a built-in purpose that functions perfectly well without constant mental interference. This vessel breathes and heals while sleep takes over. By tracing the I thought back to its beginning, you allow the physical form to handle its business with more grace than a busy mind could ever manufacture. True liberation comes from watching the display rather than trying to direct every actor on the stage. You become like a mirror that reflects the vastness of the stars without being changed by the light. Once the curiosity about your own nature wakes up, the answers reveal themselves without a teacher. Every morning offers a fresh chance to ask what this I really is. Witness everything. Finding the source turns out to be easier than maintaining the heavy mask of a person. Consider how many years remain on the clock. You may spend the morning worrying about a pastry or a paycheck. Instead, try asking why this experience is happening at all. Dissatisfaction serves as the first spark that lights the path to something deeper. The game ends. Once the pattern of birth and death feels exhausting, the loop loses its appeal. Atmospheric tricks make the sky look blue, but the expanse has no color. You see the physical form as a fleeting image on a steady screen. Grasping at the images only leaves you holding the surface itself. Actual reality stands alone. The moment the conviction of being a fragile human vanishes, the facts show themselves without effort. You exist as an unwavering presence that was never born. Ending becomes impossible because a beginning never occurred. The realization that you are everywhere at once replaces the fear of being someone tiny. If you feel drawn to move beyond just understanding these pointers intellectually, if you want to truly see for yourself what you already are, we've put together a structured digital retreat to help guide that deeper unfolding. It's designed to gently take you from conceptual glimpses into a more direct, lived recognition of your true nature. We use clear, straightforward guidance combined with guided meditations that invite you to rest in what's already here. You can find the full retreat linked in the description below. And if you prefer to listen without any music or background sound, we now offer audio-only versions of the newest videos. They're available exclusively on Patreon. Check the description for all the details and how to access them.